telling me not to do the thing, and I'm like, the same thing's happening where I'm at.
You can do it after the show too.
It's good background.
Yeah,
it's good background
yeah.
stuff.
All right, so we set. We're in a good spot.
If you've been over there interactive show,
Yeah, I think.
so
yeah, I
you
think
like
so.
flying what? Like you'd be in the shop and you'd be right there, and so you can stay in one spot and let everybody kind of fall through, or you can go from place to place, or you can follow the big tip is I got lucky.
Okay.
Put the mic
So I know a
on.
couple of the actors, well, I'm on the board of government.
Right.
So there's a big scene at the end with almost everybody in the cast in the back of Grocery Store, where they're talking about should they strike or not strike, and it's big momentous scene. But there's a couple of characters in it, and there's a whole different part of the ending if you follow one of those other characters. So you go through it twice. So if you see the big scene in the first part, you have to catch one of those characters. And the key one is there's an old Italian guy. There's only one of that.
Hi, everybody.
He's got a great
We're going to
scene.
get started in about 5
I
minutes.
happened to follow him and I saw that.
We have
Not,
3
if
more
I go
slots
back
for
into that
open
other
mic.
room
If you'd
again
like to
at the
read
end.
after the break, we're going to do our open mic. We're going to get rolling with our featured
The
readers.
drunk Italian.
Chris here,
Make
Brad
sure,
wants to go first.
make sure if you don't follow him,
Brad's going to go first. We're
make
going to get
sure
rolling in 5 minutes.
you follow him at the end of the second time.
I will. That's great.
It's kind of good to follow.
Yeah, so let's look. You want to stand on the mic?
For college, rights for anti-gravity.
That's good.
They just published it.
David just put in this. They sound like crazy.
Yeah, I got it. Yes.
They can extend it. They sell out. So, if you end up seeing the Italian guy with the hat thing the first time you run through, then you need to be in the second. Those are the two big things.
So how was
Yeah. Yeah. Because he's carrying a secret that the other people talk about it, but in the scene, you get to see him do the reveal, which is kind of fun. Yeah. I'm on their board. I've seen all of their things, and in a way it's great, but in a way it's a little frustrating because you don't see everything. So there's part of me that's I'm going to go back the second time, follow a couple of the guys. You say it's up, just think it. But I wasn't a fan, and she followed different characters from me, so we talked out and I kind of figured out what I missed.
No, I really love that concept.
Yeah.
Lisa Sonic is a good friend of ours.
Lisa was
She is so good. She's like one of our stars there. I don't want to say underrated. I mean, people love her.
well, I worked with her at Local Album with you. But she's got a good talent. She's like the matriarch of the Italian family. Because she's kind of strong, she's tough. And it comes out in the play. It's like, don't mess with her.
I never saw her sing that. I think it was Victorious.
Oh, yeah. That was weird.
That was the time that I met her, and I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
And then I would love to try to get
Me and Jeff just had a big anniversary.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see that. They're like 24 years old.
His daughter just graduated from college. That can't be.
I can't remember the two kids' names now.
8.
8, something like that.
Yeah. And Dash? I was called him Dash because he ran so fast.
I had called one of them. I can't remember.
Oh yeah, the girl was in writing.
How old is she?
Yeah.
Well, she's like that right now.
Next time we had a old people like you. Good to see you. Yeah, that's right. Well, no, you make him go to Disney World. Oh, you should have seen this scene. It was so good.
So much pie, but what about the poetry? This is our last call for pie and drinks until our intermission. So if there's anything you've been looking at in the display case that you want right now, now's your chance to get it.
Thank you. All right, everyone, we're going to get started on intros while last orders are placed. So, my name is Nikki, this is Michelle. And if you don't know Nicole, and the fine folks here at Windowsill Pies, welcome. We are so excited to have you at our first ever Poetry Pie Night. Make sure to buy plenty of pie, plenty of drinks, and to give them all your money because this is such a wonderful opportunity. So tonight we have reading Brad and Christy. Our first reader is going to be Brad. And just as a reminder, we have sign up for open mic. So we're going to have our two featured readers read. We'll We'll do an intermission, you can get more snacks, more drinks, and then we'll do our open mic, and then we'll call it a night. Our next one is gonna be December 9th, also on a Thursday, same time, same place. Our featured readers are going to be Stacy Falcon and Anel Lopez. So come on out to hear two more local writers who are really kicking butt and taking names. Without further ado, we'd love to welcome to the stage, Brad Bouchard.
Brad Bouchard. So loud, all right. Brad Bouchard is the author of 4 poetry collections, most recently Parasite Kingdom, from WordWorks in 2019, winner of the 2018 10th Gate Prize, and 4 chapbooks, most recently In Place 2022, Seven Kitchens Press, selected for the Robin Becker series. So many accolades. He is on the faculty of the Kenyon Review Writers Workshop for Teachers. Will be a visiting writer at LSU in spring of 2023, and he is also series editor of the Hillary Tam Capital Collection and imprint of the WordWorks. He lives, writes, edits, gardens, and occasionally teaches in New Orleans. More at bradbouchard.org.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Nikki. Thanks, Nicole and Marielle. This is so great. I love when there are new readings and new venues. It's amazing that it brings out a new audience. It's like I'm seeing people I haven't seen in ages. I'm seeing people I only knew through Twitter. It's fantastic. I'm seeing people I don't know at all. So welcome to all of you. And I'm really, really honored to be reading with Christine tonight. Love her work, her words and her images so much. And I thought since I'm reading with someone who's also a photographer, I would start with a few poems that are based on daguerreotypes. So these are from my second book, Motion Studies. Oh my God, they're naked men. And the book opens with this set of poems based on 5 daguerreotypes. A friend of mine who works at the Smithsonian had sent me this amazing catalog from a show there, and I was obsessed with them. And daguerreotypes are just really so strange and wonderful. I mean, I love that each one is unique. I love that each one, the detail is so fine because of the process. But like, if you've got one that's big enough, that's a photograph of like a building, if you magnify, you can see faces in the windows. Things like that, they're incredible. And also, because it was early photography, it's kind of like people are like, well, what can I take a picture of? So you just never know what you're going to see. So, young boy with dead crane. He holds death close to his body. The neck's curve limp in his fist, the wings splayed like broken fans. The beak empty, a stilled syllable. If it could stand, its height from black claw to white crest would clear the crown of the boy's hat, and its wings spread for flight would span wider than his reach if he were a man. He has been brushed, preened, and posed for this occasion, told he looks handsome, told to hold still and be taken. Never will I let go, he says. Look, this bird, more beautiful than me, is weak, and I, a boy, stronger. Death, why should I grow? Oops. Masked Woman. So I will tell you, because this one's a little dense, that it was a very strange photograph, and it is exactly what the title says. It is someone in typically feminine attire, bonnet, and the person is wearing a mask. Masked Woman. 100 behind the mask lies a face. A bonnet covers the head, its curves cupping beside each ear, coiled dark curls, dense orbs. There are frills, but the mask, though pink, is plain, smooth as imagined skin. Holes show the eyes that you think of a woman. What if the face is only a scaffold for the mask? Or itself a mask? Or what if the mask masks the face of a man masked as a woman masked? Dark coils, eyes that tell you you can't imagine. People took photographs of anything. Still life with pumpkin, book, and sweet potato. Hopeful, you set out a table and whisper, "Come forth, invisibles." And the invisibles oblige. Pumpkin, book, and sweet potato arrange themselves as if this world were their idea as much as yours. Voila, that's all. They can't stay long, but your invitation charmed them so. Won't you join them just for a moment and let them take you where they came from? They have a place there just for you. Listen, someone is calling your name. I'm going to read a bit from the chapbook. Let's see here. It's one of my father's paintings on the front. How I am whole. Some days I just want to be an idea. Form, duration, a picture. But my body keeps getting me lost in things. Mist so white it brightens my classroom windows before thickening into rain. The slow darkening of rue in its iron pot as I stir until my shoulder aches. The hidden heat in carnation petals. And I love sex so much. I believe the body does just fine without ideas. Yesterday, an artist asked for the story of my body. As her studio skylight filled with snow, I remembered a porch in late summer and me, 6 or 7, standing shirtless by the screen door, feeling the glow of the whole day inside me and thinking, I want to remember this. So, as my lovely introduction mentioned, I love to garden. I retired from full-time teaching a few years ago, so I pretty much stopped playing in the dirt all the time. And I have always loved the green anole. It's like one of my favorite creatures. I've loved them since I was a kid. And I kind of freaked out when I realized I wasn't seeing them as much. And so that led to this poem. Green anole. Green anole. 1. I kept a lizard skeleton in a 6-inch cedar box I carried around the house. I added a blue jay feather and a pink nub of quartz and wrote inside the lid, I won't tell you what. Tattered hide clung to ribs and backbone. 2. Crouched in grass, I watched one perched on a camellia branch, eyes half closed, sleek head lifted toward the sun. Its dewlap swelled orange and pink against green. I stretched out a hand, but already that body was brown leaf fall, shadows. 3. Muted yowl of a house cat, small prey panting in its mouth. The Cat drops the lizard, bats at it as it tries, gut punctured, a leg torn free to pull itself across the road past its severed, wriggling tail. Its claws snag and pile. 4. I can't remember the last time I saw one. I click a link that tells me the bark brown subspecies is making its way from Florida and eats the green anole's eggs. A flood took my cedar box. Now I can't remember what I wrote in its lid. 5. I pull my car to the curb to pluck a brown anole from the windshield wiper. 6. And set it in the grass. 7. Walking out to the porch to get this morning's mail, I saw the pale green body clinging to the screen door. When I walked closer, my spirit flexed, unhooked itself, and leapt 3 feet with the lizard, deep into Sweet Olive. The next one I'm going to read is actually it's from the chapbook, but I've revised it since the chapbook came out, so
Okay.
here we go. Little tiny bit of baking reference in here.
I'll take it.
It's, it's very kitcheny. Ode to bowls. Here's a nested set of 5, tan, sturdy, rough-lipped, my mother bought at a flea market from a weeping widower. And there was once a chipped porcelain sink where baby eye was bathed, and a marble font where sinners' fingers dip, but not mine, not in years. I thought I knew the washbowl and pitcher, gold trimmed, my grandmother kept on a stand in my father's old bedroom. Heirloom, I thought, until after her funeral I pulled from the pitcher's mouth a foxed paper tag. 2-piece, $49.50 in cursive pencil. At the intersection of Jefferson and Claiborne, I rolled down my window to place $5 in a bowl a man holds toward me. What is a bowl? Half a bubble blowing, blown from molten glass, clay thrown on a potter's wheel and fired and glazed, always fire, every bowl's making, always a cooling to harden this soft shape. In the kitchen, I drape a towel over the bowl on the counter where bread dough swells with a billion breaths. I stack cereal bowls in a cabinet like skulls in an ossuary, and place on the pantry's highest shelf broken halves of bowls I've loved and might will bowl again. There's the cat's water bowl that says dog. There's the resin-filled bowl that fills my head with smoke I release like a prayer. And here is the bowl I live in. Reclaimed basin of a marsh where Chitimacha hunters caught snipe for Creole housewives until the railroad came, tracking the basin's rim, then crossing it, and parcel by parcel marked off for houses, schools, libraries, streets, where potholes are bowls, sand and gravel never fill, but water will. Few more here. And I didn't have a pie poem, but I do have this poem which has a metaphorical piece of cake. So unfortunately it's not a tasty piece of cake. Well, maybe that's okay, because we're talking about pie. All right. This one is called, and I just lost it, News of the Death of My Mother's Third Ex-Husband. Came on the birthday of a dozen Facebook friends. Came like fast food at the drive-thru window. Came like forwarded junk mail, like a gift shirt someone thought might fit. Came like the robocall about the cruise no one wants or wins, a punchline that forgot its joke, the calendar's next blank day. Came crawling like a cockroach from the shower drain. Came while I was deciding New Yorker or Netflix. When poked, felt fake. like cheap cake gone stale on a styrofoam plate. That is how I felt about my former stepfather, so. And one more from the chapbook, and then just one more after that. Zinnias. A student from UNO was doing a project on revision and asked me, sent me a bunch of interview questions about this poem. It was wild. It's like, oh my God, I have to learn things from my own poem. Zinnias. There's never enough time to see everything in the museums we visit most often. I planted 10 packets of seed and only these sprouted, grew 5 feet high and blew face down in last night's storm. Watching my husband chop an onion, I think of all the poets no one reads. Rooted in air, rooted in smoke, washed away in silk-bearing floods. Don't worry, it's firm, I call out to my 4-year-old godson as my right leg sinks to the knee in the mound of dirt I'm climbing over. And the last poem I'm going to read is the only one I'm going to read tonight from Parasite Kingdom, which is a super, super dark book. I'm rather fond of it. But there is one poem in it that has something like hope. So that's where I will leave us tonight. And this poem is called Economy. I'll just add also that my students at the school up the street, the Willow School, they were incredibly helpful with this poem. It was so fun bringing it in and having them workshop it. Economy. All I wanted was a cup of water, just a sip to keep me long enough to tell how even a cup in still life or lip-tilted video flicker, cracked, empty, could flood the dust-clouded farms and highways and townships shuttered at strip malls, how banked with grasses and trees, cool shade, my dreams would flow free, and I'd ride on a raft to the sea. Thank you very much.
Give it up one more time for Brad Bouchard. All right, next up we have Christy Loria. Christy is a writer and photographer based in New Orleans, Louisiana. In 2021, Christy was a fellow of Arizona State University's Desert Nights Rising Stars Writing Conference. Her writing has appeared in HAD, 433 Magazine, and Oxford American, amongst other places.
Her photography has been seen in publications such as Vice News and In These Times. Her fine art has been shown in galleries both internationally and nationally, including the Ogden Museum of Southern Art and Good Children Gallery in New Orleans. Christy holds an MFA in creative writing from the University of New Orleans.
Thank you for having me. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Unfortunately, I didn't have I think I'm good right here.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I didn't have time to print, so I had to read off 2 screens, which is really obnoxious. But whatever, it was. So thank you guys so much for coming out. I'm going to read from an essay I wrote last summer called Grandview. It was published on Squirrel Places, a great little travel literary magazine. And then I'm going to read 2 essays from my chapbook that's coming out here. That the physical copy should be to me by the end of this week. So that's really Also, I have the mouth as a sailor, so So there's gonna be some cursing in here. Just get ready for some math bombs. Think I'm my mom didn't say that, right? Well, she already read it. Okay, this is called Grandview. I read this last summer. I could have stayed my ass at home. See, I told you already. I could have stayed my ass at home, but I didn't. It was a chemo week, and I had already purchased a backcountry permit months ago and planned out this Grand Canyon overnight camping trip on Horseshoe Mesa, about 3 miles down the Grandview Trail. I reserved a campsite for 3, myself, Thomas, my husband, and our dear friend Fernando. Grandview is one of the hardest trails in the South Rim, mainly because it's incredibly steep and unmaintained. Unlike the relatively smooth popular trails, Grandview has you sidestepping boulders, shuffling down cobblestone, and tiptoeing on a ridge just wide enough to place your 2 feet together without falling off an extreme drop-off as you descend 2,500 feet in elevation. I had anxiety about hiking Grandview weeks before the hike. I hiked it twice before as a day hike 18 years ago when I worked at the canyon for a summer and youth was on my side. Breaking up the hike by camping one night at the Mesa would be easier, but hiking with stage 4 rectal cancer brings up so many doubts, so many physical concerns. Zolota, the chemo pills I'm on, makes my hands and feet peel and hurt. It gives me delightful bouts of diarrhea. I was terrified that I would spend most of the trip on a backcountry compost toilet, nothing but blue skies while it shed my brains out and my feet dropped. Lung radiation I had the year before left me with shortness of breath and a cough. I was worried that I wouldn't physically be able to do it, playing out scenarios in my head of me getting dizzy and falling off the trail to my demise. On the hike down, I tapped into my muscle memory, a reminder that yes, despite what my body has been through the past 3 years, I can still do the damn thing. I navigated the cobblestone rocks the same way I navigated cancer treatment, cautious but trusting myself. My movements were slow and deliberate, carefully placing my feet to prevent slipping and leaning into my trekking poles for balance. No sudden moves, just deliberate actions. Their terrain on Grandview is so rocky that it took 2.5 hours to hike 3 miles. We never gained purchase on the trail. Our toes banged into the fronts of our boots as gravity reminded us to keep caution. The first time I hiked to the bottom of the canyon, I did it for my dad, who died of colon cancer the year before. The last thing he wanted to do was hike to the bottom. He didn't get the chance, so I did it for him a year later. And then I did it over and over again, 10 times to the bottom, and countless other hikes, including Grandview to Horseshoe Mesa. We camped that night at the Mesa, watching the sunset as we pitched our tents. We were the only people in that vast landscape, like ants crawling on a rock. Planes flew overhead, and I wondered if the passengers considered the people below them. When the stars came out, I imagined my dad floating next to the Milky Way, being moved with love and strength. The next morning, I downed my chemo pills with electrolyte-infused water after heating up a dehydrated meal on the camp stove. We started to hike out 2 hours later than expected. We opted for extra sleep after a slight drizzle sent us grabbing a rain tarp at 2 a.m. Aside from the threat of rain, the night had been pleasant. The Mesa was already sun-baked at 8:40 a.m. My calves felt wobbly and my head felt drained. Things were not looking good. I imagined roasting the canyon until I could hike out later that evening, or being rescued by a crew of park rangers. I wasn't used to my body failing me on the trail. I soldiered on, trying to keep up with Fernando and Thomas in an attempt to diminish my weakness. My backpack weighed just 15 pounds. I've carried twice that amount on previous hikes, but cancer treatment was wearing me down. Thomas offered to carry my burden, which I initially refused, not wanting to weigh him down even more. He's been my caregiver for the past 3 years and has done so much for me already, but he insisted, so I broke down and let him carry my pack. I immediately felt lighter, better, and stronger without the pack. I kept up with Thomas and Fernando, pushing my poles into the earth and propel me forward. The hike, as Fernando described it, was masochistic. But once I snapped out of my funk, it wasn't as bad as I imagined. My lungs weren't overworked, my heart rate was steady. I knew how to do this, I've done it before. Inch by inch, mile by mile, we were making our way up the canyon, traversing Grandview in reverse. The cobblestone steps were slippery on the descent. On the way, though on the way up they were brutally steep, which trudged along, stopping for a snack and water breaks. Thomas and Fernando traded carrying my pack, and eventually I was able to recenter myself and carry my pack for the last leg of the hike. We rejoiced when we hit the trailhead. Detours congratulate us for the trek we just made. Fuck cancer, I said as we shuffled back to the car. And I'm going to read from my 2 short essays, they're all short, from my chapbook. It's coming out. Again, it's in pre-order. You can find it on beltpointpress.com. That's BELLE. I'm going to just read a brief timeline of just kind of like what's happened, just for context, and then I'll read the 2 essays. So, June of 2001, my dad dies from colorectal cancer 1 year after his diagnosis. And then fast forward to June 2018, I'm diagnosed with stage 4 colorectal cancer, after having a seizure for pre-metastasis, which I had that seizure in Ireland, by the way. So yeah, another layer of adventure, I guess. Then flash forward to July 2018, a month later, a couple weeks later actually, I had a craniotomy to remove the brain tumor and something called Gamma Knife, which is a form of radiation surgery, basically. And then August, I started for my first round of chemo. March 2019, pelvic radiation. I started that, and my niece was born on Martyr God Day. Thank God, because we're not going to have an Ash Wednesday baby. Then I had what was called a week after Mardi Gras. Yes, I scheduled my surgeries and radiation treatment around Mardi Gras. My doctor thought it was crazy. I have priorities. So a week after Mardi Gras, I had a lower anterior resection surgery where they removed my rectum and the tumor. And then I had a temporary ileostomy bag. And then in May, I got that bag removed. October 2018, I was re-diagnosed. The cancer spread to my lungs, so I had to start chemo all over again. And then July 2019, I had lung radiation. And then May of 2020, and died of COVID pandemic, I graduated from my first grad program at MFA in creative writing. And then August 2020, thank you, I started a second grad program in an MFA for studio art for photography, which I did not finish. I had to drop out in August. November 2020, I found out the cancer did not go away, and then I had to be on chemo for life. And I also was diagnosed with stage 0 melanoma on top of it, all within the first couple weeks of school, but I still was in school. And then January 2022, I had a brain tumor recurrence, Gamma Knife for the 3rd time. Then May 2022, my vision started going bad, which is called paranoid syndrome from radiation. And now August 2022, I was diagnosed with leptomeningeal disease. Caller was known as LMD. I was given 6 months to live back in August of this year. That's when I had to drop my second MFA program. And what is leptomeningeal disease? I can't say that word. LMD. It's it happens in 5% of cancer patients. Lucky me, mostly breast and lung cancer patients, but it attacks your central nervous system. So your spine. I have multiple tumors in the lining of my brain. So yeah, that's what I'm dealing with. What else do I know? All right, I'm going to start reading. I started writing these June of this year, this past summer. And it's kind of funny because already all of us is dated since things have been happening so fast. But I noticed 2 things. So we all know it's so freaking hot in June in New Orleans. So I noticed I complain about the weather a lot and I talk about water a lot. Those are 2 things that I did not see coming, but we're gonna whirl with that. Okay, this is the first one. It's called Water's Life. And they're short, I promise. I used to be fastidious about drinking 64 ounces of water each day. Having clear pee left me positively giddy. Look how responsible I am, a real adult. I was smug about my water consumption. I had control over my health. Going to the bathroom 300 times a day is a badge of honor, no matter how inconvenient it was. Now, it feels like a colossal chore to drink half of that. Cancer affects everything, and when I have so many responsibilities, something as simple as drinking water is one more thing to monitor, one more responsibility. It takes a lot to keep me alive. Remembering when to take my chemo pills, keeping up with my multitude of medical appointments. I had a job in grad school on top of that, and I can barely keep up. Right after I had made major surgery to remove my rectum 3 years ago, I had a temporary ileostomy bag. When you poop out of your stomach via your small intestines, water doesn't get reabsorbed in the colon like it's supposed to. I had to drink water around the clock to make sure I wouldn't get dehydrated. Shortly after my surgery, Thomas got into a bad Vespa accident. Our car was approaching the intersection with no signs of stopping, so he slammed on the brakes and flew off the bike. He shattered his elbow, which required multiple surgeries and a permanent steel plate to keep his elbow together. I think he left part of his bone in the street, his surgeon said. On the day of the big surgery, my mom and I went to the hospital cafeteria to eat during the operation. The cafeteria employee was mopping the floor and had placed a wet floor sign in the walkway. Don't walk here, the floor is wet, he said. After all that I had been through, I just lost it. Where am I supposed to walk? I asked, as it burst into tears. Go sit down, my mom said, pointing to a table. A year later, I was still doing a lot. I described it to my psychiatrist as my bucket is overflowing, and my backup bucket, and my other backup bucket. I told her I was running out of buckets. What do you do when the faucet is broken and you can't turn it off? I started on chemo for a third time, unending timeline. I got through my brain radiation and had my melanoma removed. A sliver of my arm was sliced into, excising the cancer cells. I stopped tracking how much water I drank on my Fitbit, but still kept 2 32-ounce water bottles full every day. I wasn't planning to tell anyone at school about my cancer. I just finished an undergrad program in May 2020, smack dab in the middle of the pandemic. It was a strange time, not being able to indulge in the pomp and circumstance. I took my own graduation photos with Thomas's help. My favorite one is of me in my cap and gown in front of the university sign with her freshly cracked beer. I did the damn thing. Graduating on time despite COVID and cancer. I deserved that cold one, despite alcohol being a known carcinogen. It seems like everything causes cancer. I read somewhere that we eat and drink a credit card's worth of plastic every year. Our drinking water is loaded with all sorts of questionable trace amounts of prescription pills. The pipes in my house are terracotta, most likely as old as our 100-year-old home. There are parts of Louisiana called Cancer Alley because of the amount of waste and toxic chemicals in the soil and drinking water. I tested negative for genetic diseases, but 4 members of my paternal immediate family have all died from various cancers. Cancer is environmental. Many people claim that diet can prevent cancer, and while that's partially true, it's not the whole story. Health gurus touting claims that downing alkaline water and celery juice as cancer cures are bogus. People drink it up. And look, I get it. People try to have some semblance of control over their lives. We have less control over our bodies, hell, over our lives, than we think we do. After my craniotomy in 2018, I started drinking 100 ounces of water a day. I thought if I drank that much water, I would flush the scars out. I would flush all the medication out of my system. I can't recall what specific thing led me to drink that much water, but eventually I tapered off and went back to my normal 64 ounces a day. Over the course of 4 years of treatment, I started to find it difficult to drink plain water. I did flavor it to trick myself into drinking enough. My mouth was so dry to start chugging it. My body was reanimated as my cells were quenched. I gave up on thinking I have control over cancer as a stage 4. I gave up on thinking I have control over my cancer. As a stage 4 patient, there's nothing I can do to make the cancer go away. I'll have this the rest of my life, which makes me feel like giving up on life sometimes. Still, I soldier on. clinging to being alive like a life raft. On my good days, I feel almost free, normal, free of pain and present in the moment. On bad days, I can barely lift a finger. Still, life was worth living, so I take my chemo pills, keep on the back with a big squirt of water, and I just hope for the best. And this last one's about water too. This one's called The Deep, and it's about swimming. I sink into the water, letting the pool take me in. I hadn't been swimming in 2 weeks because of an unexpected skin biopsy, a measure taken for an atypical mole. My dermatologist wanted to make sure my melanoma hadn't come back. It hadn't. The stitches came out, and now I'm able to swim again. However, my eyesight is having problems again. I can see, but everything is like off, trying to see through an electrical spark. Still, the cool water feels good on my body. I extend my arms, holding on to my kickboard, and push off the pool wall, enjoying the weightlessness as my legs propel me to the deep end. I feel free in the water, despite the burden of perpetual cancer treatment slowly breaking down my body. Everything was already heavy before my eyes went bad, but I was coasting along with stable tumors. I am used to this. I'm used to living my life in 3-month increments, from scan to medical scan. My life literally depends on these to monitor the cancer. My best case scenario is that it remains stable, that everything stays in place. I'm in a relatively good place, 2 months out from learning that's my time to go. I'm suspended in the deep end, my face hovering above the water before I kick my legs again, trying to get my body parallel with the board. I focus on my form, trying to optimize my 45-minute workout. The only goal I have is to swim twice a week. I don't care if I'm improving my speed. I'm not competing with anyone, not even myself. I'm learning how to do things for the pure joy of it, something that makes me feel good. My eyes get used to swimming without my glasses. I can read the time, 10:05 a.m. Got about 40 minutes to go, so I kick back to the shallow end and ditch the kickboard, lunging into a backstroke. I tilt my pelvis to the ceiling, trying to remain upright. I bend my arms, tapping to the ballet classes I took as a child. I use my hands to scoop the water, trying to be graceful and strong. My feet flutter through the water. Chemo has gnarled my hands and feet and left them in an endless cycle of inflammation. Even standing in the pool hurts sometimes. My fingers tap the wall. I just finished another lap. I use the base of the springboard to do 10 pull-ups, something I couldn't do out of the water. I was so strong before my cancer diagnosis 4 years ago. Hitting the gym 3 times a week, running 5K races. That strength is still there, hidden in muscle tendons, but activating it grows harder and harder the more chemo I have, the longer I stay alive. Chemo is a double-edged sword. It's kept me alive for 4 years, but it's also breaking me down. I try my best to stay active, but my obstacles seem insurmountable at times. I made peace with never looking and feeling as good as I did before. I started treatment, but it's hard knowing I'll never be back in the shape I was in, feeling good about myself. It's not that I feel bad about myself, but life is so difficult. I switched from backstrokes to side strokes, enjoying the way my torso stretches, unfolding in ways that lengthen my body. I can never figure out if I'm supposed to kick with the leg that's on top of the water or the one that acts as an anchor below the surface. So I alternate letting my arms rest. When I flip back around, my left arm, the one that holds a scar from melanoma surgery, is underneath me. Melanoma, a secondary cancer I had, prevents me from qualifying in clinical trials. I have to be melanoma free for 5 years. It's been 1.5 years, but that doesn't matter much to me. By the time I qualify, I will be dead. I stop between laps and do 20 kickbacks. I press my feet against the wall of the pool, then thrust my legs back, working my abdominal muscles. My stoma scar is hidden underneath my bathing suit, but I know it's there. All that's left in my small intestines, hanging out my stomach for 9 weeks, is a memory and a scar. Getting sliced open 3 years ago was brutal. You don't know how much you rely on your abs for basic functions, such as standing up. until I have abdominal surgery. I swim to strengthen my core, to nourish my body. I'm reminded daily of how hard it is to remain alive. Simply walking up a flight of stairs wins me, but cardio in the water feels good. I expand my lungs, opening my body up to the possibility that I might outlive many of my cancer patient friends. I grab my kickboard, trying to get on a few more laps before my 45 minutes comes to an end. Swimming is pure joy for me. I can take my mind off cancer, focusing on what my body is capable of, instead of what it can't do anymore. The water is cool and pleasant as I glide through the water, as my legs propel me in a lane. During my last minute, I stretch my limbs. I work out any stiffness, starting with pulling calf muscles, then my thighs and arms. I always forget to stretch my neck. There is always some body part I neglect, which is why I like swimming so much. It's a full body workout, strengthening my core, my limbs, and my mind. It's one of my few escapes from reality. Thank you very much.
All right, everyone, we're gonna do a 10-minute intermission for drinks, food, and then we'll do our open mic. We've still got 2 more slots left if you want to sign up for open mic. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Brad. We hope you stay for open mic. We hope to see you on December 9th for our next round.
Oh, yeah. Very good.
And money for four. I can do that part. Oh, I see. Add it later. Here's the weird thing, I often have to cancel my mother also. I often have to cancel. She's got the nails. Right, they're part like that. Just a little bit nervous. $11 on there for yeah, that's fine.
It goes to our staff from the day. Again, the staff, they're not. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like it.
I mean, well, it is nice, but it's also like, it's a good way to it works well. Like for me.
Yeah, I don't want the big one.
Yeah.
We were talking about, I sent it, yeah. I sent in a ton of stuff last year, and then I never heard back, and then when I emailed.
No, I don't even know there
Bill
was.
and Megan were like, oh, well, we have no record.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, no, this is last year.
Really long day.
Yeah. The website, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, you've never what?
I've never been in a situation like that one, like, but I mean, you said it 4 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you are.
So when I go home, I know, like.
Got it.
Little ones. You know, no, all the time.
Got it.
It's like the same thing. The 13 and 15 together now.
That goes
she was so shut down. I don't, you didn't know her there. She's like exhausted. Like she couldn't even walk outside. She couldn't even put a leash on. Like this is the problem. And they were like, oh, she's she's not ready for this. They're like, there's like a class. And then we did like this. They have like a they watch her online. I highly recommend. They're really good. But I remember like being boring. I remember. What is surreal? We talk about like
Something with for now, I know it's my tail.
They don't know. It looks like a lab.
that's the last.
Rottweiler.
Strong
All the
guy.
mix. Like having a train.
Do you have other copies of Touch with You?
I do.
Okay,
So yeah, but my kids
Oh, I
were
love
supposed to
that.
take it with them.
Yeah.
I got they were gone by the time this happened. So they were like, there was one point when they was both playing on the couch.
In the background.
Like, yeah, they were watching. Like, my kids be part of it. They were just like going, and I'm like,
Thank you, Tauka.
Will you sign it for me?
Yes.
We're on display.
No, they're meaning to DM you about it.
Well, so look at all the stuff we've already shared.
Yeah, awesome. I'm glad to have this class too.
Yay. Thank you.
No, hey, thank you.
All right, now I'm gonna buy some pie, just so you're all poetry. Sorry. Okay. I'm thinking of all the food I want to eat for the rest of the week. Can I get 2 of the sweet potato pies for you? Little babies. And 2 sweet potatoes. They start the little dinner. 1 box, right? 1 box, yeah. And then your last 2 breakfast menus. Now I'm taking care of. For tonight and tomorrow.
Put the breakfast in the fridge.
Okay.
No. You waited. But it's saying that
What is the apple cart?
That's a French fan. You wait a year. On the result.
Yeah, now they're saying.
There's 1 apple fan on the top. If it's so
Vanilla bean, bourbon, those all have.
1 ounce of baking soda, really hot. I love the flavors that might be used to use. Yeah, all the
I think I'll take a slice of the apple cart.
There's not really hard quality banana.
It sounds nice. It's more of like.
Yeah. The only thing, I mean, what is your house?
I'll do a.
Lots of food? Christian recipe.
Yeah. But.
I want to go right back my
All right. Anyone else need something right now?
I remember.
You're gonna read some from people we knew.
I am. And you have to, and once you die, you know. And we'll go with it, we'll be like, yeah, maybe not.
I mean, that's true. I don't know what that's.
I mean, I'm learning.
I know who goes hard. I know who goes hard.
It's my anniversary today, so I'm moving my
No, 10 years later, I'm like,
Thank you so much.
I know, I was in Northeast for 2 years and I started, I'm like, I did I mean, I'm watching
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry, 20%.
Okay, well, that's good. Oh, yes. All right.
doing those 30 days. And I was like, I know you guys do. Forgiveness, holiday, you know, one day also, I just like stayed home all day watching Game of Thrones. I wrote like a 4-line poem about the army. I'm like, well, what am I thinking? I'm like, all day long.
Maybe you want to read?
No.
Okay.
No, that was gonna happen, but I didn't bring it. I came to
Yeah. Very good reasons to come in. Yeah. Our next one's December 9th. Stacey's going to be reading Stacey Balkin and Canal Lopez. So I would love to turn that. And you'll bring some, perfect. It's a Thursday. It is Thursday, right? Yeah. Okay. I think you're right. All right, everyone. It was so loud. We're about to get started for our open mic. We still have one more spot left if anyone wants to sign up. But the first person that we would love to welcome to the stage is Kate Ruth. Come on up, Kate Ruth.
Hi. I've been doing the 30 days, 30 poems challenge, so I'm going to read a few of those. This is yesterday's. Waste more, use more. A prime example, cut the top third off the baby bell pepper. You don't need to waste time seeking out errant seeds. You are allowed to waste items in your kitchen if you are trying not to lay waste to your whole insides. Let me give you another. I cut the cilantro bunch straight in half. I don't save the stems, which can flavor broths and stocks. I don't make a cilantro oil or a bell pepper vinegar. When the trash lid swings open, I'm free. I am going to try to describe where I come from without using the word pathological. My mind scans all available options, calculates the margin of errors when I don't recycle or throw my cigarette butt in the street. My favorite moment of a late night is when I realize I don't want the rest of this drink and I claim it. My big, powerful goodbye, my pride and pure recognition of my rarest state, a respite without want. So I chopped the ends off the cucumber. Yesterday I tossed an entire pint of raspberries, black spotted. I chose not to sort through the muck. Trust, I already have enough in my belly. Okay. This is a poem I wrote about social media, which I titled Post to / use this one / for likes. Poem as an old school selfie. We used to call them party pics with point and clicks, train your face without looking on it, run drills. I remember hundreds of poses in one wig. The joy of deleting what you hadn't intended, it looked different in your mind. Count the ways that I'd be watching TV, walking to work, avoiding nonsense and accidents. Witness me in my gratitude, mourning, surviving, trying to have fun. If I had lived a girl of analog only, mix and match only in post, maybe I would have made collages, cut myself into more attractive segments. And this one's called Middle America. My mom loved mayonnaise so much that I get offended when someone talks shit about it. My dad eats meat at every meal. We had 2 TVs at least, so I didn't have to watch football all day on Saturday and Sunday. Khakis, pixie cuts, collared shirts, Catholic school, cargo shorts, blonde bobs, big families, lots of cousins. Some people just don't like mayonnaise, and I don't try to understand it, I just let them be. But don't ever let me hear you talk about mayonnaise as evil as whiteness, as the anti-wokeist condiment. I will stand by cream cheese and crackers with hot pepper jelly, cheddar, carousel, crab rangoon, jalapeno poppers. I chose the disappearing boot, but I still keep love in the heartland. Thanks.
Thank you, Kate. All right, next up is me. This is the first time I've got to be able to stand here and be like, oh, let me read from my chapbook. So that feels really fun. So this poem is called And He Takes, and He Takes, and He Takes. 1. Tess marks time with her daughter's body. Bones grow in cadence to the hourglass slip of sand grains. After an overcast beach day, Tess rinses soap suds and Sarasota sugar sand from her daughter's skin. Elah, the valley where David slayed Goliath, a Machpelah named for overcoming, for the slaughter of giants. Elah's hair tickles kneecaps, swishes like a skirt. Tess braids her daughter's hair every morning, lays hands on every inch of coarse curl, then ropes the thick braid around her daughter's waist. She tethers Elah to her 5-year-old body, as old as Tess's father is dead. As he withered and scabbed on a worn futon cushion, Elah grew strong in the womb. Tess prayed for the strength to raise her Ivan, stone of help, take aim at her Goliath. 2. She bore Elah in mourning, in a black maternity dress, finger-painted her daughter with afterbirth, forced her to bear witness as Goliath, the revealer, giant who uncovers, lingered in the corner. Grief stitched itself into pituitary, coaxed forth a manic rush of HGH. Elah is large for her age. The x-ray reveals a skeleton 2 years too old. At some bones, substance self too big for her body. Elah is 5. Her skeleton is 7. A cage fit to burst, her ribs bars of iron, her bones of bronze. Tess stuffs her mouth with fig leaves until she chokes on Tifara, glory be, glory be, glory be. And then, like Kate, I'm also doing a 30 and 30, though I just started. So these last 2 little poems are from the last 2 days. I was recently diagnosed with general anxiety disorder, happened about 2 months ago, and have learned a whole host of new identities and medicines and life things. So this one is called my 3rd panic attack. My mind baying and howling like a pack of wild dogs with shiny teeth bright as whetted blades. My face cracks like an egg and the wild dogs laugh at what runs out. Tongues clacking, red lips stretched wide around their laughter. I try to scream, but a screeching bowl claws its way out of my mouth instead. The smell of sour human flesh surrounds me. The windows spill sun. My mind a living thing with hate in its eyes. And then this last one. First winter after diagnosis. Icicles sting the eaves of your cabin. Each morning comes along with the assumption that it will be similar enough to the previous one, that you will be safe, that your family will be alive, the life will remain mostly as it was. Then a moment changes everything. Fear, like a long, dark finger, reaches across the room, past the last of the foxgloves arranged with a bright red bow, and scratches you on the nose. The halo of mosquitoes clear. Earth travels another 1,000 kilometers along its orbit. The tamaracks sway as the horizon meets the sun. Red blue light licking the edge of the stairs. The hymn of life already sweeping away. Please welcome to the stage, Oka.
So I've got 3 short poems for you, going through a bit of a conflict or friendship breakup right now, so that's kind of the central theme here. This first one is called Like the Weapon, and it's about distance that gets created sometimes and how that made me feel. So I'll just find it real quick. And I kind of wrote this as a song as well. So I'll just kind of sing it for you. Hope you're out walking, enjoying this breeze. Hope you find the calm or the chaos you need. Miss when you text, you love me so much. Miss when we were keeping in touch. Forecast the chance that this would happen. Friends drift apart, a natural reaction. When love is the ration, we go hungry then starve. Then we die to play the part. Then we make it into art. Hope you're out walking, enjoying this breeze. Hope you find the calm or the chaos you need. Miss when you text, you love me so much. Miss when we were keeping in touch. This next one is called Hurt Poem, and this is just about being hurt and hurting someone else. It hurts to hurt. It hurts to own the violence that words and actions have. It hurts to do the work and still hurt. It hurts to do the work and still hurt those you love. It hurts when the hurt exhausts what reserves you've preserved. It hurts when all you needed was a hug. It hurts when giving up doesn't seem worse. It hurts to admit mistakes and give space, knowing they may never return. It hurts, and it hurts, and it hurts until you keep going. And then this next one is called, where is it? I Need Space Too. Twist words into weapons, the best defense mechanism, skip over intentions, go straight for the fences. You don't shoot for the body, it's always a head wound, it's never a trickle, it's always a monsoon. There's always a mushroom cloud over the wreckage, so heavy-handed, we ignored all the baggage. Glad for the fragments and the shards you leave behind, and the lessons and the scratches and the scars that are mine. This ends a chapter with a dollop of growth. This is what healing does for us both.
Last but certainly not least is Cameron.
Hi y'all, thanks for reading and sharing. Thanks for having me. Here's two subconscious poems. Sublunary composition. To reach a state of slumber, at first we must fake it. After supine lying our eyes to shut, fasting realities like understudies on a stage become dead. Wait into the wash of it and hope for the coming, or else come to make it easier. I dwell on my flamingo pillowcase, 2 in the morning, and soon noon will come. But what time is, Will listens, composition to enact floral blouse, or swim sublunary, a prose tortoise, through a metonymical petticoat. This simply extends trimmings, or thus pun, the letter for a flamingo resting. I've been here before, by design, yes, however singed, but only rarely and by intent. Submergence is not natural, but possible, there, always. How shut must eyes become before sight is blurred by insight? I submerged for the first time as an aesthetic, drinking tea, sitting quiet at night, young in a room above my parents, the elongated mood in music as angst is dissonance. But slowly, over time, the submergence for aesthetics opposite emerged, in the substance, for the feel, blind, dark, and for no one. I thought this beneficial and used it. The mind to be explored like shipwreck or whale fall. And the wounds, the deeper, the dimmer, and grim the facing. And this made me better, a better one, and better than occasionally. And it's this, the better than, a snow obscuring the windshield, turning it again to aesthetics. The unplumbed, what's to be discovered there is moist, thick, blue as paint, and hard to hear through open eyes. Marine snow below, the unsettling truth of things settling in shadow, hitched not to the heels, but biting them. Thank you.
All right, everyone, thus concludes our first poetry and pie. I do want to say, because I don't think Christy mentioned it, if you buy a copy of her chapbook from Bell Point Press, they're donating $5 back to her cancer fund to help with, the comfort of life and things like that. So please order it. And I also don't know if she mentioned it, but it's her essays and her photographs of the last year. So it's really beautiful and it's a portrayal of this end-of-life experience that is hers. Anyway, go out and buy the book of Christie's, buy Brad's books. See us on December 9th for Stacy and Amel. It's going to be wonderful. And give a big hand to these two lovely ladies who hosted us. Have a good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you both so much.